You know that sudden, stabbing pain that wakes you up at 2 in the morning feeling like someone's driving a knife right through your calf muscle. That moment when your leg locks up so tight you can barely breathe, let alone get back to sleep. If you're over 60, there's a 75% chance you've experienced this torture at least once in the past year. But here's what nobody tells you about these midnight muscle attacks. The standard advice you get from most doctors, the quick fixes you see online, even the expensive supplements marketed specifically for leg cramps, they're all missing the real culprit behind why this happens more as we age. Tonight, I'm going to walk you through a 3-part bedtime protocol that addresses the actual root cause of nighttime leg cramps in people over 60. And I'm not talking about just drinking more water or eating a banana. This is a systematic approach that tackles the real problem, which has everything to do with how your circulation, mineral absorption, and muscle recovery patterns change as you get older. The third part of this protocol involves a specific 30-second stretch that most people do completely wrong, and when you do it right, it can prevent cramps for the entire night. But it's the first part, a simple tea blend, that's going to surprise you the most. Here's what I want you to do right now. Drop a comment and tell me your age and where you're watching from. And if you've had one of those brutal midnight leg cramps in the past month, add the word ouch so I know you're dealing with this too. The truth is, after 60, your body processes minerals differently than it did when you were younger. Your kidneys don't concentrate urine as efficiently, meaning you lose more electrolytes throughout the day. Your intestines absorb magnesium and potassium at roughly 60% the rate they did when you were 30. And here's the kicker that most people never consider. Your muscle fibers actually shorten by about 1% per year after age 50, making them more prone to those sudden, violent contractions we call cramps. But the real breakthrough in understanding nighttime leg cramps came when researchers started looking at the timing. Why do these cramps happen most often between midnight and 4 in the morning? The answer lies in your circulation patterns and something called the nocturnal dip. As you sleep, your blood pressure naturally drops by 10 to 20%. That's normal and healthy. But in people over 60, this dip can reduce blood flow to your lower legs by up to 30%. Less blood flow means less oxygen and fewer minerals reaching those hard-working calf muscles. Add in the fact that you've been lying still for hours, and you've created the perfect storm for muscle cramping. Now, most doctors will tell you to drink more water and take a magnesium supplement. That's not wrong, but it's incomplete. The timing of when you hydrate and mineralize matters enormously. Taking a magnesium pill with dinner and drinking a glass of water before bed is like trying to fill a bucket with a hole in the bottom. By the time those midnight cramps hit, most of what you consumed earlier has already been filtered out by your kidneys. That's where this 3-part protocol comes in. Each component is designed to work with your body's natural rhythms, not against them. The tea provides sustained mineral release throughout the night. The targeted mineral supplementation uses forms your aging digestive system can actually absorb, and the stretch addresses the mechanical component that nobody talks about. The way your tendons and fascia tighten up when you've been lying in the same position for hours. Let me start with the tea blend, because this is where most people are going to be skeptical. You've probably never heard of using herbs to prevent leg cramps, but there's a specific combination of 3 plants that traditional medicine has used for centuries to address muscle cramping, and modern research is finally catching up to explain why it works. The base of this tea is chamomile, but not for the reason you think. Yes, chamomile is relaxing, but that's not why it prevents leg cramps. Chamomile contains compounds called flavonoids, specifically apigenin, that help your blood vessels stay relaxed and maintain better circulation during the nocturnal dip. 1 cup of properly prepared chamomile tea can increase lower extremity blood flow by up to 15% during sleep. That alone can make the difference between waking up with cramps and sleeping through the night. But chamomile by itself isn't enough. The second ingredient is dried nettle leaf. Now, I know what you're thinking. Nettle, that plant that stings you if you touch it fresh. Exactly. But when it's dried and steeped as tea, Nettle becomes one of nature's most potent sources of bioavailable potassium and magnesium. A single tablespoon of dried nettle contains more absorbable potassium than a medium banana, and in a form your intestines can process even when your digestive efficiency is declining with age. The third component is what makes this blend truly effective for people over 60. Cramp bark. Yes, that's actually its name, and it's earned that name over hundreds of years of use. Cramp bark contains compounds called coumarins that act as natural calcium channel blockers. In simple terms, they help prevent your muscle fibers from contracting too violently. Research from European Medical Center suggests that cramp bark can reduce the frequency of nighttime muscle cramps by up to 40% when used consistently. Here's how you prepare this anti-cramp tea. You need 1 teaspoon of dried chamomile flowers, half a teaspoon of dried nettle leaf, and a 1/4 teaspoon of cramp bark. You can find all 3 at most health food stores or order them online. Steep them together in 8 ounces of hot water for exactly 10 minutes. Not 5, not 15. 10 minutes extracts the active compounds without making the tea bitter. The timing is crucial. Drink this tea exactly 45 minutes before you plan to go to sleep, not right before bed, because you don't want to be waking up to use the bathroom, not 2 hours before, because the effects will wear off. 45 minutes gives the compounds time to enter your bloodstream while ensuring the diuretic effect of the liquid doesn't disrupt your sleep. I'll tell you about Sarah, 72, a retired teacher from Ohio who tried everything for her leg cramps: magnesium pills, calcium supplements, prescription muscle relaxers. Nothing worked consistently. She was waking up 3 or 4 nights a week with cramps so severe she'd end up walking around her house at 2 in the morning, tears streaming down her face. Her doctor suggested it was just part of getting older. Sarah started drinking this tea blend every night, and within 1 week, her cramps dropped to maybe once a week. After a month, she's had exactly 2 cramps, and both were much milder than before. The tea became part of her evening routine, something she actually looked forward to instead of dreaded. But tea alone isn't enough for most people over 60. That's where part 2 of this protocol comes in. And this is where we need to talk about the mineral absorption problem that nobody explains properly. Your body needs magnesium, potassium, and calcium in the right ratios to prevent muscle cramps. But here's what changes after 60. Your stomach produces less acid, which means you can't break down mineral compounds as effectively. Your intestinal lining becomes less permeable, which sounds good, but actually makes it harder to absorb nutrients. And your kidneys become more efficient at getting rid of minerals your body thinks it doesn't need, which unfortunately includes the exact minerals that prevent leg cramps. Asterisk: most magnesium supplements on the market are magnesium oxide. It's cheap, it's stable on the shelf, and it's almost completely useless for people over 60. Your aging digestive system can absorb maybe 10% of magnesium oxide on a good day. The rest just passes through, and in many cases, it actually causes digestive upset that makes you less likely to stick with supplementation. The forms that work for older adults are magnesium glycinate and magnesium malate. Glycinate is magnesium bound to the amino acid glycine, which your intestines recognize and actively transport across the intestinal wall. Malate is magnesium bound to malic acid, which not only improves absorption, but also helps with cellular energy production in muscle tissue. Either form will give you absorption rates of 60 to 70%, even with age-related digestive changes. For potassium, the problem is even more complex. Most potassium supplements are limited by law to 99 milligrams per pill, which is nowhere near enough to make a difference for leg cramps. You'd need to take 8 to 10 pills to get therapeutic levels, and that's not practical or safe without medical supervision. The solution is food-based potassium that comes with natural cofactors that enhance absorption. Coconut water is good, but there's something better. Cream of tartar. Yes, the baking ingredient. Pure cream of tartar is potassium bitartrate, one of the most bioavailable forms of potassium available. Half a teaspoon of cream of tartar dissolved in 4 ounces of water gives you nearly 400 milligrams of highly absorbable potassium. It tastes slightly tart, like weak lemon water, and it's completely safe for daily use unless you have kidney disease. The timing for these minerals is just as important as the tea timing. Take your magnesium supplement exactly 30 minutes before the anti-cramp tea. This gives the magnesium time to start absorption while ensuring the tea compounds can work synergistically with the minerals already in your system. Drink the cream of tartar solution immediately after finishing your tea. The slight acidity actually helps with mineral absorption, and the timing ensures steady mineral levels throughout your sleep cycle. Now, here's where most protocols stop, but this is where the real magic happens. The third part of this system addresses something that conventional medicine completely ignores when it comes to nighttime leg cramps. The mechanical component. When you lie in bed for hours, several things happen to your lower leg muscles and tendons that set you up for cramping. Your plantar fascia, the thick band of tissue that runs along the bottom of your foot, gradually shortens. Your Achilles tendon, already tighter than it was when you were younger, contracts even further. And here's the key that nobody talks about. The position of your feet while you sleep directly influences whether your calf muscles will cramp or stay relaxed. Most people sleep with their toes pointed slightly downward. This is called plantar flexion, and it's the exact position that makes your calf muscles most vulnerable to sudden, violent contractions. It's like keeping a rubber band stretched for 8 hours and then expecting it not to snap when you move it. Suddenly. The solution is a 30-second stretch that resets the length-tension relationship in your calf muscles and prepares them for a full night of relaxed sleep. But it has to be done correctly, and most people get it wrong in ways that actually increase their risk of cramping. Here's the right way to do it. Sit on the edge of your bed right before you lie down for sleep. Place a towel or resistance band around the ball of your left foot. Hold the ends of the towel with both hands and gently pull your toes toward your shin. You should feel a comfortable stretch along the back of your calf and into your Achilles tendon. This is called dorsiflexion, and it's the opposite of the cramping position. Hold this stretch for 15 seconds, not 10, not 20. 15 seconds is the optimal time to reset muscle fiber length without triggering a protective spasm. Release slowly, and immediately do the same thing with your right foot. 15 seconds of gentle dorsiflexion stretch. But here's the critical part that everyone gets wrong: the intensity. This should feel like a comfortable stretch, maybe 5 or 6 out of 10 on a stretch intensity scale. If you're grimacing or holding your breath, you're stretching too aggressively and you're actually increasing your risk of nighttime cramps. Aggressive stretching right before bed can cause microtrauma to muscle fibers that makes them more likely to spasm during sleep. Let me tell you about Robert, 68, a former construction worker from Texas. Robert's leg cramps were so bad, he was afraid to go to sleep. He'd had cramps that lasted up to 10 minutes, leaving his calf muscles sore for days afterward. Robert started doing this stretching protocol every night, but initially, he was doing it too aggressively because that's how he'd stretched his whole life. His cramps actually got worse for the first few days. When he backed off the intensity and focused on that gentle, controlled stretch, everything changed. Within 2 weeks, his nighttime cramps disappeared completely. He still does the stretch every single night, and he hasn't had a cramp in over 6 months. The key to this stretch isn't just the physical lengthening of the muscle fibers. It's also neurological. When you gently stretch your calf muscles right before sleep, you're sending signals to your nervous system that help maintain normal muscle tone throughout the night. This prevents the sudden nerve misfiring that triggers most nighttime leg cramps. Now, let's talk about what happens when you put all 3 parts of this protocol together. Because the synergy is what makes it so effective for people over 60. The tea provides sustained circulation support and gentle muscle relaxation throughout the night. The targeted minerals ensure your muscle fibers have what they need to contract and relax normally, even with age-related absorption changes. And the stretching protocol resets your muscle mechanics and sends the right signals to your nervous system. But there's something else happening that's even more important for long-term leg cramp prevention. You're addressing the underlying changes in your body that make nighttime leg cramps more common after 60. Better circulation, improved mineral status, and optimal muscle mechanics. These changes build on each other over time, meaning this protocol actually becomes more effective the longer you use it. Most people notice a reduction in cramp frequency within 1 week. Significant improvement usually happens within 2 to 3 weeks, and after a month of consistent use, many people find they can prevent leg cramps even if they occasionally skip parts of the protocol. Here's what a typical night looks like when you're using this system properly. About an hour before bed, you take your magnesium supplement. 30 minutes later, you prepare and drink your anti-cramp tea. 15 minutes after finishing the tea, you drink your cream of tartar solution. When you're ready to get into bed, you do the 30-second stretching protocol. Then you sleep peacefully through the night without those midnight muscle attacks that used to leave you limping around your house. But I want to address some common concerns and modifications, because this protocol needs to work for real people with real health conditions and real limitations. If you're taking blood pressure medication, especially diuretics, talk to your doctor before adding the cream of tartar to this protocol. The potassium content could interact with certain medications. You can still use the tea and stretching components safely, and many people find significant improvement with just those 2 parts. If you have kidney disease, skip the cream of tartar entirely and use half the recommended amount of nettle leaf in your tea blend. Your kidneys may not process potassium normally, so it's better to be conservative with mineral supplementation. If you can't find cramp bark or it's too expensive, you can substitute with a 1/4 teaspoon of dried ginger root. Ginger doesn't have the same calcium channel blocking effects, but it does improve circulation and has mild muscle relaxing properties. For people who have trouble with the stretching position sitting on the edge of the bed, you can do this stretch lying down. Lie on your back and use the towel to pull your toes toward your shin while your leg is straight. The effectiveness is almost identical. Some people ask me about using this protocol if they already take prescription muscle relaxers or sleep medications. The tea and stretching are safe to combine with most medications, but check with your pharmacist about the magnesium supplement. Some sleep medications can interact with high-dose mineral supplements. Now, let's talk about what to expect during your first week using this protocol, because managing expectations is important for long-term success. Night 1 through 3, you might not notice much difference. Your body is adjusting to the new mineral intake and circulation patterns. Some people actually experience slightly different sleep patterns as their body adapts to the tea blend. Nights 4 through 7, most people start noticing that they're sleeping more deeply and waking up less frequently, even if they haven't had a leg cramp yet. This is the circulation and muscle relaxation effects starting to kick in. Week 2 is typically when the real improvements become obvious. Cramps become less frequent, less severe, or both. Even if you do get a cramp, it's usually shorter and less painful than before you started the protocol. By week 3, most people have established the routine as a normal part of their bedtime preparations, and the cramp prevention effects are becoming consistent and reliable. Here's something important that most people don't realize. This protocol doesn't just prevent leg cramps. Many people notice improvements in their overall sleep quality, reduced morning stiffness, and better circulation in their hands and feet. That's because you're addressing fundamental issues with mineral status and circulation that affect your entire body, not just your calf muscles. Sarah, the retired teacher I mentioned earlier, told me that after 2 months on this protocol, her husband noticed that her hands and feet weren't cold all the time anymore. She'd had poor circulation for years, and improving her mineral status and using the tea blend had benefits she never expected. Robert, the former construction worker, found that his restless leg syndrome, something he dealt with for over a decade, completely disappeared after 6 weeks on this protocol. He hadn't even mentioned the restless legs when we started working on his cramps, but addressing the underlying circulation and mineral issues resolved both problems. let me give you some practical tips for making this protocol part of your routine. Because consistency is what makes the difference between temporary relief and long-term cramp prevention. Set up your tea supplies in advance. Measure out a week's worth of the herb blend into small containers or tea bags so you're not measuring every night. Store the mixed herbs in an airtight container away from light and heat to preserve their potency. Keep your magnesium supplements and cream of tartar in your bedroom, not in the kitchen medicine cabinet. You're more likely to remember the timing if the supplies are where you'll be when it's time to take them. Put the towel you use for stretching at the foot of your bed so it's there when you need it. Having to hunt around for a towel interrupts the bedtime routine and makes it less likely you'll stick with the stretching component. Track your results for the first month. Keep a simple log of whether you had leg cramps, how severe they were, and how well you slept overall. This helps you see patterns and improvements that might not be obvious day to day. If you travel frequently, this protocol is completely portable. Pre-measured tea blends travel well in small containers. Magnesium supplements and cream of tartar are easy to pack, and you can do the stretching protocol in any hotel room using a towel from the bathroom. Now, let's address the elephant in the room: cost, because I know some of you are thinking, this sounds complicated and expensive compared to just taking a magnesium pill from the drugstore. A month's supply of the 3T herbs costs about $12 if you buy them in bulk online. High-quality magnesium glycinate or malate runs about $15 for a 2-month supply. A container of cream of tartar costs $3 and lasts for months. So, you're looking at about $20 for the first month, and then be $10 a month after that for maintenance. Compare that to the cost of prescription muscle relaxers, sleep aids, or even multiple doctor visits trying to figure out why you keep getting leg cramps. Not to mention the value of actually sleeping through the night instead of being woken up by excruciating pain 3 times a week. But more importantly, this isn't just about preventing leg cramps. You're investing in better circulation, improved mineral status, and sleep quality that affects every aspect of your health and daily life. Here's what I want you to understand about the bigger picture. Nighttime leg cramps aren't just a nuisance that you have to accept as part of getting older. They're a sign that your circulation, mineral absorption, and muscle mechanics need attention. Address these underlying issues with a systematic approach, and you're not just preventing cramps. You're supporting healthy aging in ways that will benefit you for years to come. The 3-part bedtime protocol outlined tonight works because it addresses all 3 components of the leg cramp problem. Circulation support through the herbal tea blend. Bioavailable minerals in forms your aging body can actually use. And mechanical preparation through proper stretching technique. Most importantly, this is something you can start tonight. You don't need a doctor's appointment, expensive tests, or prescription medications. You can pick up the ingredients at your local health food store tomorrow and begin experiencing better sleep within a week. Remember, consistency is key. Use this protocol every night for at least 3 weeks to see the full benefits. Your body needs time to rebuild optimal mineral levels and establish better circulation patterns. But once you do, you'll wonder why nobody explained this approach to preventing leg cramps years ago. I want to leave you with this thought. Sleep is when your body does its most important repair and recovery work. Every night that leg cramps wake you up is a night when that crucial recovery process gets interrupted. You deserve to sleep peacefully through the night without fear of sudden, stabbing pain in your legs. This protocol gives you the tools to make that happen. The anti-cramp tea that supports circulation and provides gentle muscle relaxation. The targeted minerals that your body can actually absorb and use. And a simple stretching technique that prepares your muscles for 8 hours of comfortable rest. You have everything you need to take control of those midnight leg cramps starting tonight. Which part of this 3-part protocol most excited to try first? And what's the main reason you're ready to finally solve this problem for good?